Oh, I'm sorry. This is probably the worst webcam I've ever seen. I'm a little bit in the laughing mode because the laptop I'm about to show you is a bit of a train wreck, and it's sent over by a company called Acemagic, and the idea here is pretty innovative actually. It's a dual screen laptop that has a hinge, a watch band hinge that lets it fold out and give you two displays in one laptop. The concept is great. The execution, I would say, leaves a lot to be desired, but the potential is there. Now, it has maybe one of the worst webcams I've ever seen on a laptop, and there are some questionable omissions on their offering. Now, I'm not gonna really trounce on them too hard here. I like what they're doing. I think I like what the idea is behind it, and I gotta give them kudos for trying something a little bit bold in terms of the design. But in a lot of ways, it's sort of like a Frankenstein laptop. They sort of tacked on another display. We're gonna get into it and why I think this is the weirdest laptop and the weirdest time I've had with a laptop in a very, very long time. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is the Acemagic X1 dual display laptop here for 2024. Coming up.
Now, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, and pursuant to the guidelines set forth by the FTC, I'm not being paid by Acemagic. I'm not being sponsored by Acemagic. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own, and Acemagic is not getting copy approval. And probably after this video, they'll never want to work with me again, but who knows? But if you are interested in picking one up, you can go over to their website. It's $899, but right now, there is a $50 discount code if you use the discount code ACEX1BS50, and I'll leave a link for it in the description below, saving you $50, so you'll get it for $849. And actually, it's a lot less money than I thought it was going to come in at, so that may be not such a bad thing. But let's look at what this is all about. You know the drill, folks. Let's get this out of the box. So pretty nice packaging from Acemagic here, and kind of better than I expected. So it says to open from this side. Okay. So they're saying your work partner right there. Okay. If you say so. This is the Acemagic X1. So we get our power charger here, and you can see it is a USB Type-C. Pretty compact for the most part. And then here is the unit itself. Wow, a little bit of heft on it, but that's to be expected with two screens on it. And we get some documentation here, it looks like. Let's see what they give us. And a pretty thick book. Wow. So that's a pretty thick book here. So you can see it here. And it looks like it's in different languages. Multiple languages. So pretty good, pretty thick booklet. And of course, we get the unit itself. So let's take it out of this cover here. And wow, that is a pretty nice looking device. So this is black. Of course, this is Acemagic. And I got to tell you, the build quality is looking pretty good here so far. You can see it there, Acemagic, etched into there. So that's pretty good. It's not a sticker or anything like that. Metal lid. Pretty good build. And here you can see the hinge, watch band hinge. I think we saw it on the Lenovo Yoga years back. So that's the watch band hinge right there, and you can see it. And we'll see how that's going to work. Pretty interesting. So let's do the useless test of the day. You can sort of open it. This is pretty heavy. So here we get a diagram as to what's going on here. So you lift that up, and then you move it, you open this part up, okay? So it does give you the diagram, shows you the power button. All right, so this is gonna lift here, and it says open here. So pretty interesting. Wow, this is pretty interesting. So you can actually see it here. So how this works is you open this part up, and you got yourself a dual screen laptop. It says, stay hungry, stay foolish over here. Okay, if you say so, Acemagic. Now, one thing you will notice here are pretty thick bezels, but I think you have to support a hinge like this. The build quality seems pretty good. There's a little bit of give here on the keyboard. Okay, let's get a measurement of the weight with just the unit alone. Whoa, you're looking at 1.938 kilograms, and that comes out to 4 pounds, 4.4 ounces. Now, consider this, that it does have that second display, so that would account for that extra weight. Let's put it back into kilograms. Let's get a total travel weight here. With the power charger that is included in the box, 2.126 kilograms, and that comes out to 4 pounds, 11 ounces. That's a pretty beefy system here, but of course, putting it in your bag, you will notice it. But then again, you are getting 2 displays, so just keep that in mind. Okay, let's check out the port selection, and we're going to start off on the left side. We get 2 USB Type-C ports, and we'll have to figure out whether they're 4.0 or not. We'll have to check all that out. And moving over to the right side is a USB Type-A port and an HDMI port. Notably missing, there's no micro SD card or full-size SD card reader. Would have been great on this device, but we'll have to live with what we have here. Not too bad in terms of the ports. Tips for faster setup, avoid wireless LAN initially, connecting might trigger long updates, delaying desktop access. That's interesting. Okay. Now, that tip you just saw actually was the first red flag that something may not be all too kosher here. So we're going to keep our eye on that. Why would they not allow us to connect to the internet? Is Windows activated? It probably is, but who knows what the hell is going on here. So we have to be a little bit careful here. And you can see it here. This is the most unique laptop I've ever seen. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could have one screen going and then the other back. So when you're doing a presentation, the person in front of you gets to see what you're doing or something else, I guess. I don't know, but we'll have to check it all out. Now, let's give a listen to the keyboard. So keyboard feels okay. I think there's a little bit of give here on the keyboard deck. And it's a little loose over here on this touchpad, but I'll have to play around with it. Obviously, we haven't booted it up yet, so we'll check all that out. And we'll have to see. Right now, I have both displays showing here. Obviously, there are 4 buttons right here. So the first one will duplicate what's on both screens. So it's the same. So whatever you're doing on one, we'll do it on the other. This one is extended out. So this will show 2 different displays here, A and B, I guess. And then if you want to just have the B screen, that would be the second one and gives it about a few seconds. This one will show only. And then if you go to A, this one will show only. So a lot of easy access there with those 4 buttons up there, those 4 keys over there. So I think that's pretty decent. And then again, if you want to do extended out, which is the way I like to use the extended displays, this is the way to go. Now, screen brightness is okay. I'm going to have to do a measurement of it. It seems like this one maybe they are pretty much the same. Now these are 1080p displays. They're 1920 by 1080. They're okay. I wouldn't say they're the most high quality displays. They're not touch screens or anything like that. But you know what? With this watch band hinge right here, it's a pretty nice design overall. Now, if I want to show the back display, so I would put it into mirror mode here where they're mirroring each other, and then put it like that. You can see both sides here now. So that would be like this. So you can see on this side, and then of course on the original side there, on the front-facing side. So pretty interesting. Now, I guess I don't think there's, but because there's no tablet support here, I don't know how that would work. Oh yeah, so it turns off. So this would be an interesting tablet, right? No pen support. Maybe for the future iterations, they might come up with something like that, but not right now. And how do I open this up without breaking anything here? It's a little unwieldy, but overall, it's not bad. Now, I haven't connected to the internet. I'm almost afraid to see if Windows won't activate, but we'll have to see. All right, so a couple of things to note here. I've been using it for about 15, 20 minutes. This hinge here, this watch band hinge, could be a little tighter because look at this. Look at that. Now, this is not an easy engineering feat. It goes back as far as you see there, and then now it's resting on sort of an angle there. It's okay. I remember the watch band hinge being better on that Yoga from years back from Lenovo, but That is one thing I noticed. So unless you could put it in different positions, but look at that. It just will naturally go to that angle, which is fine. Now, having used the displays for about a week or so, I would say the hinge on it is not the best. There's a lot of wobble, which I guess is to be expected. Having that second display tacked on like that will cause it to move around. And the displays themselves are not groundbreaking. Let's be honest here. It's a 1920 by 1080. It's a 16:9 aspect ratio. It's got a pretty thick bottom bezel and somewhat thick bezels around the other three corners. And I would say that the brightness is about 300 nits, which is, I guess, okay. They're not very good in terms of the viewing angles. The colors are not going to be that great in terms of the color accuracy and the coverage of the color gamut. It's pretty mediocre at best. So you're not going to be doing content creation on this. Where I think you will be productive is having that second display to get the work done, right? So you can have two displays in Microsoft Word or have a Word document open and then you have the internet open on the other side or your Outlook for the day, stuff like that, where I can see that is a good utility for having that second display. So there are some ways to use this that I think make you a little bit more productive. Now, the keyboard itself is not terrible as far as typing on it. It feels a little hollow in terms of the tactility. Not the greatest feedback, but I would say it's okay for getting work done. If you need to type out a document or email, it will certainly do the job. And one big omission here, and I think it's a big negative in my book, it is not a backlit keyboard, which at $900 or maybe $850 if you use the discount code, I think if that price point needs to have a backlight on it, the fact that it doesn't have it is a big loss in my opinion. Now the power button doubles as that fingerprint scanner for those wondering, and the touchpad was a bit on the loose side. I felt like it could have been a little bit tighter. The responsiveness was okay. I didn't have any issues in terms of navigating it, but as far as the responsiveness, I've seen a lot better on other devices. There's no doubt about it. All right, let's take a peek at the internals here. And one of the things you'll see is it's got soldered RAM. It's got 16 gigabytes of RAM, not upgradable by the user. It's certainly fast enough here. And as far as what is user upgradable, you got an SSD there, and that's a Kingston SSD. And as you can see from the reads and writes, certainly fast enough what you need this laptop to do. And I like the fact that it is upgradable. You can see the Wi-Fi card is upgradable. It's a Bluetooth combo card as well. It's Wi-Fi 6 for those wondering, not Wi-Fi 6E, certainly not Wi-Fi 7. You'll notice the two fans for cooling, and you'll notice that 61.92 watt-hour battery. Battery life is nothing to write home about here, as you can see, maybe 4 to 5 hours at most, depending on what you're doing. But of course, don't expect more out of this. It's just not a very efficient laptop here. So unfortunately, that's the case. And as far as the performance on that Core i7-1255U, it's a couple of generations old. Decent single-core performance and decent multi-core. Not great, of course, but certainly adequate for the type of things you're going to do with this laptop. And the integrated graphics are nothing to write home about. So don't expect to play AAA titles on their highest settings anytime soon.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is probably the worst webcam I've ever seen. This whole laptop. I just want to laugh. It's the Frankenstein of laptops. No offense, Acemagic, but this is pretty god awful in terms of a camera. They claim it's 1080p. Okay, whatever. I'll take your word for it. It's pretty awful.
Now, as far as speakers are concerned, I would basically stay away from this if you want any kind of quality audio. It's very teeny. There's basically no bass here. So you're listening to very hollow sounding speakers. They can get somewhat loud, I guess, but again, have no richness, no fullness. They're pretty awful. So I'm not going to even bother giving you an example. They're that bad. I'm not going to waste your time. Now, buying this, of course, comes with a lot of caveats that I would have to tell you. Buyer beware, because this is a company based in China, and I'm not sure if you need to service this laptop, how that's going to fare if you're living in North America or in Europe or somewhere, how that's going to all play out. So I'd be a little bit leery as far as buying any kind of device from overseas. I know Acemagic has somewhat of a reputation here, so I'm not really sure if this will really be an issue, but just be careful out there when you're buying these type of laptops. Okay, let's. Okay, all right, I'll stop laughing, I promise. All right, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the Acemagic X1 here for 2024? Let's start off with what I like. I like the concept here. It's a pretty interesting concept. They got to give them that. It's got a nice aluminum build, actually a lot nicer than I thought that it was going to have. So that's pretty good in that regard. I like the upgradable SSD. That's always a big win in my book. I like the fact that you're getting 16 gigabytes of RAM, although it is a slower 3200 megatransfers per second. I'm still going to give them credit here for 16 gigabytes. I like Wi-Fi 6. It worked well. It's got pretty good Bluetooth. I didn't have any issues. And the 2 full HD displays means you're going to multitask a lot easier. Those are the positives, but everything pretty much falls apart after that. Wobbly displays, screens are relatively dim. It's got so-so coverage of the color gamut. It's not very color accurate. As far as the awful webcam, it's pretty bad. The teeny and howl sounding speakers are not very good. There's no backlight on the keyboard. It's got a loose touchpad. I think it's pretty heavy for what it is. It's got whirling fan noise, which is quite annoying, and the expensive price tag here for what you're getting really doesn't leave much to be desired, although there is a $50 discount for those interested in buying one. Again, link in the description below. And of course, you have to be a little bit careful anytime you buy something from overseas, especially from China, when it comes to warranty, as far as reliability and serviceability, how that's all going to play out. And again, I'm not saying Acemagic is not a reliable company. I know they've made other products. Other reviewers have reviewed those products, and there have been some favorable reviews out there. So I'm not going to bash Acemagic. I like the concept here. I like what they're trying. Got to give them credit for that. I just wish the execution was a little bit better.
So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And don't forget to check out my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.